watching Inside the Gilliverse, talking all things Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. Brought to you by Stewart Travel Guitars. See the incredible stowaway travel guitar at stewartguitars.com. Also brought to you by Idea Bench, makers of hot rod-inspired pedal boards and pedalboard accessories at ideabench.com. Microphones for Inside the Gilliverse are brought to you by Rode Microphones. Now please welcome your hosts, Tom Schnauz and Eric Broadbent.
Oh, there he is. We lost Peter for a second. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our premiere of Inside the Gilliverse, talking all things Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. My name is Eric Broadbent, and it comes with extreme pleasure to welcome my co-host who needs no introduction, but we're going to give him one anyways. Writer, producer, director, 2020 Emmy Award nominee, Mr. Tom Schnauz, and our first guest of the kickoff of the show. You know him as DDA Bill Oakley from Better Call Saul, actor Peter Diseth. Gentlemen, welcome to the kickoff. We did it. We've made it 5 minutes. How you doing?
Incredible.
We've done it.
Thanks for asking me to do this, Eric, as a co-host of the show. It's great to be here, and great to have Peter as our first guest for this thing. This is awesome.
It is. I'm tickled pink to say the least. And I'll give our viewers just a real quick synopsis of how this came together. And this came together very, very quickly. So I had the pleasure of having Tom on the show about 3-4 weeks back. And I've had a few of the other guests. We've had Ray and Patrick, Dave Porter from the sound, from the scoring. We've had Charlie Baker from El Camino, just a great wealth of the people from the show, cast and crew. And I really wanted to carry it on. But I thought, you know what? I want to get some dynamic back and forth. So I'm on the highway about 2 weeks back, literally 2 weeks back. And I voiced to text Sandra here, my wife at home. And I said, I got this idea for a show. And I want Tom to be a part of it. And then I come back home real quick and I send Tom an email and I kind of twist his arm. And then, he's thinking about it a little bit. Then I made the graphics. I said, look how cool this is. And then I really twisted his arm. Next day, I get an email saying, all right, the heck with it, let's do it. And here we are 2 weeks later. I've got to give a big thank you to Paul Sura, the voice you heard on that show. He's a big fan of the show. Patrick Fabian loves him. That's the voice. But we're here, man. We made it, and I'm so happy. Great people in the chat. We're going to jump over there. You know what? This would be a really cool thing to start right off. This is a question from the audience. Lazy Gardner asked, what would be in Bill Oakley's fantasy vending machine and what would be in yours? Hey, that's a great one. Let's go, Peter, that's you. Fantasy vending machine.
Oh, my God.
You stumped him on the first question. This is good.
Yeah, right. This last season, there was a whole sequence of the vending machine where I smack into it. What I get out of it is a bag of like chili cheese Fritos or generic Fritos, whatever they're called, corn strips. And I ate so many of those that in my mind it became like the prime snack for Bill Oakley. Like that's his favorite. So I think that the ideal vending machine would just be chili cheese everything. Just just chips and like a bars and for me. God, I don't know. I'm pretty old school with the Snickers and the Baby Ruth.
Okay,
Tom,
how about you? Is there any like kind of little things that you like that are just maybe little evil secrets when it comes to junk food?
This is really not what I thought the first question would be. But let's go with it.
It wasn't. I know.
If I say what I want, can I get free stuff? Like if I say I would love Snickers, will the Mars company send me
hungry
boxes of Snickers, please?
We'll work on it.
I'm going to go with Snickers.
Okay. And I'm not sure if you guys get this in the United States. Something I like here is Big Turk. Have you heard of it? I don't think you have it. It's called Big Turk. I don't think you have it in the USA. It's kind of like a licorice thing in the middle with a nice chocolate, kind of woven like a belt look, like a woven belt. Beautiful, beautiful treat. Really nice. I'll send you guys some across the border. Those we can send across the border. I'll send you guys some. Try them. Really, really nice. So there's our super chat coming in already too from Shashank. Says, congrats on the Emmy nods. God bless you all. Here's wishing to a great season 6. I'd say cheers on that as well. And
yeah, we're working away. We're all in the writer's room. We're working very hard on season 6 going forward and praying someday we will be able to shoot and be back in Albuquerque.
Exactly.
For everyone's sake.
Well, it'll happen when it's safe.
Yeah, we want to see our actors in action again soon, we hope.
Agreed. And I have to apologize. I read. I'm like Ron Burgundy when it comes to teleprompters. I read what's put in front of my face. and Sandra's texting me voice to text, and I said the shout out to Lazy Gardener. It's actually Blazy Gardener. I know her. I called her Lazy Gardener. I'm a lazy gardener. But anyways, yeah, I'll try not to read exactly what's put in front of my face. But here's how I'd like to start off. I want to start off with you two gentlemen. Peter, Tom, you have a great story about the creation of the character of Bill Oakley. So I want to have you maybe share us a story with that. And, Peter, maybe you can tell us a little bit about, getting the part, what it was like getting that role. And you also have a bit of a funny, kind of a nervous little thing that happened with the audition and meeting somebody in a very awkward place. So we'll start with Tom on the creation of Oakley, and we'll go back to Peter, and you can say what it's been like working with Tom and the character over the years.
Well, the creation of ADA Oakley was actually Peter Gould's creation. He was in episode 102 of the very first season, and he didn't have a name. He was our Petty with a Prior guy, and we saw auditions for that role. And I had a character in my script, the very next script, 103, called Nacho, where Jimmy had to talk to a guy in a hallway and negotiate with him and offer him chips for some quid pro quo. I can't even say it. And we saw Peter's audition, and he was fantastic. We loved what he did in the audition, and we thought, well, let's use him again for the next episode, which was my episode. So I got to work with Peter for that first time, and we love his work so much that we just had to keep bringing him back. This is really one of those stories when we see an actor who we like and is really good. We all the time in the writers' room, Peter, we're like, why doesn't Peter Diseth have his own show? Somebody's got to pick this guy up and give him his own show, for God's sakes. We love the character of Oakley. Anyway, so yeah, I had to name the guy, and I named him after one of my favorite New York Knicks players, Charles Oakley. So that's how he became ADA Oakley.
Nice.
So what talk about that first? You came in and auditioned. What is that like? Did you self-tape? I'm trying to remember because you were from Albuquerque.
Yeah. Before I dive into that, real quick, a shout out to Bill Oakley, the Simpsons writer, who about 3 times a week I get asked if the character on Better Call Saul is named after Bill Oakley, and he's wonderful. But Charles Oakley. So the audition, I was in person. I can't remember the first one at all. I had an initial and a callback. And the first audition, it was just in and out. I don't remember anything. But the callback was a bit of an adventure, and I'll truncate the story because it's a long one. But essentially, I get to the ABQ Studios, which is where the callback is, and just super nervous. I'm there super early, and I don't know what to do with myself. I don't want to wander around the parking lot, and some security guard will ask me what I'm doing, and I'll vomit on his shoes or her shoes or something. And I want to go wait outside, the door of the casting for whatever. So I decided that the best thing I can do is go to the restroom and just camp out in there and sweat and run my lines over and over and over again in the mirror, which is funny because I only have one line, and I can't remember what it was in the audition. In the show, it's Petty with a Prior, but it was something different. But anyway, so yeah, I was in the bathroom for about 20 minutes, then it was time to leave, and I opened the door, and in walks Bob Odenkirk, who I had never met or never seen before in my life, but I was a huge fan of for many years. I mean, I don't know what college kid didn't live off of Mr. Show in the early 2000s and then the 90s. But so yeah, it was just super awkward because you don't know what to do, and I'm kind of in his way, and so I just kind of look him in the eyes and say hi. And
not creepy at all.
No, and wandered away. Not at all. It was super creepy. Yeah. So then I walk out thinking, well, I'm not getting this part. Who wants to act with somebody who just accosted them in the restroom? And then I find out moments later that the director of the episode, Michelle McLaren, who I've also been a giant fan of for a really long time, was actually in the room. And so I was just at that point, knowing that I was not going to get it, all the fear and the nerves just kind of left, just shed them. And then I went in and started from this neutral place. And Michelle was so great. She actually sat and worked with me for must have been 10, 15 minutes, which is crazy. for such a small role. But no, she was fun enough. She had me try different things. Like I initially went in on my phone. She's like, yeah, okay, let's try this and try that. And by the time I left, I felt really good about what I'd done and about myself. I think she's magic. But yeah, so it went from this whiplash of the bathroom to working with Michelle in the room, and it was an interesting day. It was an interesting hour.
That's an emotional role.
We're very lucky to find you and get you on the show. So yeah, there are no small roles. You never know. And somebody comes on the show and does something and is fun to watch and is interesting. We think, well, let's try to get them in more. And this is a perfect example in what Peter did.
That's phenomenal. And
every single time I've heard from my agent over the years that show wants me back for another episode, it's like Christmas. It's like I'm not expecting it at any point over the 5 seasons. I'm not expecting it. I'm just living my life, and then I get this call. Yeah, now, working with you guys is just an absolute dream. So I'm lucky.
And as we said off the air as well too, everyone is such a fan of the show. Like, I mean, we see a lot of people over in our chat right now, a lot of great people that love the show. But everyone from cast to crew, and even if its characters have been killed off or have left, they still love the show and they're just so invested in it. And that is so contagious. And I think that's why we as fans and people that are doing like podcasts like this, and think there's lots of them, it's so contagious. And when you're delivering a speech to somebody or selling them a product or whatever the case may be, when people see that passion in your eyes, it's a no-brainer, right? But here's a good question from Catherine. Catherine asked, no, this is generally more so for Tom, but you can have some input as well too, Peter. Catherine says, after the stunt Saul pulled in Wexler versus Goodman, do you think Kevin and Paige are now suspicious that Jimmy/Saul actually altered the bank documents in order for Kim to get the Mesa Verde business? That's a good one.
That is a good question. I think we discussed that in the room, but we think that it was so well covered up that Kevin, they're not backtracking. They're not going back unless Howard or somebody says something to them about, you remember those bank documents? Well, it was Jimmy McGill who altered them. We think they've moved on from that moment.
Okay,
that was definitely a reflection of Charles McGill's mental state for that plot point.
Yep, that's a good one. We moved on from that one. Now, this is a question I'm going to direct more to Peter. This is coming from Kim Wexler. I'm not sure if it's a character or it's a fan.
For real?
Yeah, it could be
really her.
Yeah, that's right. It could be her. Now, I'm going to direct this one to Peter just because it's a question about a favorite episode. And I mean, some of my favorites are some of the ones that Tom has written, and it would be a very awkward question for Tom as well too. So Kim Wexler asks, what's your favorite episode in season 5, Peter?
What? Oh my God, it's so hard because like every episode in season 5 was just better and better and better than the last. And the first one started out as amazing. Shoot, this put me on the spot.
That's okay.
Well, of course, Bagman is fantastic. Just because it was so, it was so different.
I know that's tough. It's like picking a favorite child when you have
just a blank here.
When you have several children, you pick your favorite child, right? It's like, well, that one acts up a lot. That one's pretty good. That one has crazy hair. It's trying to find the one that you love the most, and you love them all. And there's so many good episodes.
Yeah, it's incredible. The finale at Lalo's place was just so astounding to me. I loved it because it felt like the whole series has felt like it has this potential for violence, like which just kills me. I love it. Like Breaking Bad like really went there a lot with the violence, but in Saul it's like it could happen. It could happen. Like it's like walking this razor line. So finally to spill over into that intense sequence. Oh my God, that was crazy. That was amazing. Just that feeling of free fall finally into that sort of exhilaration, that sort of adrenaline was amazing. that being said, my favorite moments have been sort of the quieter, more conversational pieces. Also in the last episode, the finger guns from Kim, and then I think it was I don't have it in front of me. When Kim confronted Lalo with Saul, was that Bad Choice Road at the end there?
Yep.
Yeah, that scene was incredible. No, I'm gonna just say the finale there. That's fantastic. I'll say that one. They're all great.
That was the wrong answer, Peter. So can you cut his feet, Eric?
All right.
This has gone off the rails. Yeah. So long, loser.
Bad Choice Road. Directed by Thomas Schnauz was by far the superior.
I do have to say something about Bad Choice Road, and that's one of my favorites, and not just because my co-host wrote it, but the fact because it's a great line from you, Peter. And I'm the worst at retelling jokes, and I'm the worst at retelling lines. But I had to watch that episode again last night, and I made notes, so I didn't quote it wrong. So Jimmy comes back. He's got PTSD. I mean, he's been through living hell, war trauma that someone like him has never, ever seen, and he'll see a lot more of that in his life. Saul will see. But, he's in there. He gets called back to court. He says he's going to be there in 45 minutes. He gets there, and he's just a beaten man. He loses a case that Oakley says, that I was prepared to lose this case to you. He loses it. And, you not only is he beaten down, he goes, you chase him to the stairwell. Yeah, Bill did. Chase him to the stairwell. Jimmy escapes. And it's like, I don't look at you any less. I still consider you a lawyer. And it talk about kicking the man when he's down. That's one of favorite of several scenes.
It's one of my favorite too, because whenever I'm in doing a scene, Peter, I don't really know what's going on in the show. Like it's not really necessary for me to know the plots of what's going on with Nacho or Lalo or Kim or Saul or Jimmy. So I didn't know he'd been through myself. So I just get this scene where it's. Oakley loves to ride the power wave when he's got it over Jimmy. So it was awful and hilarious to me, just because I had no idea what he went through either.
And except for that last line, that was essentially a oneer. I mean, Peter just delivered this string of insults following after Jimmy, just one after the other. It was so fun.
Yeah,
to do that.
It's kind of funny too. It's almost like when Jimmy did that epic like rant, like spitting and freaking and losing his voice, losing it on Howard. You kind of did that with a smile on your face and didn't even raise a pitch. It's almost like a parallel, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was just a mirror.
Not meant to be a parallel, but you're right. It definitely is.
Yeah. Here's some.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, great questions coming in from the chat as well too. Holy sock. And there's so many great props, on the show. And we're going to go back to Breaking Bad just for a second, but it also applies to Better Call Saul. Kim going back into her desk before she quits Schweikart and grabs, the cork or the top, whatever you call it from. But this is a question from Holy Sock, as I mentioned, asks, whatever happened to the teddy bear's eyeball in Walt's drawer? He seemed to keep it as a sign of guilt or a reminder that we never saw it in season 5. When he moved back home, did he just throw it away? And again, sometimes these things are speculation. We just have to assume, what happened to Walt's money after he was dead. But what happened to the eyeball? Is that something we can speculate on? And Peter, you can comment just with a fan's theory on that too. But let's start with Tom.
Boy, did he not throw it? I thought he threw it away on camera.
I forget, and I feel horrible.
I thought he let it go on camera.
Maybe the fans in the chat can comment.
Memory too, but it's been so long since I've seen that.
It's very tricky for me because we used to talk about so many things, and I have memories of things existing that don't exist, of things that we talked about that I'm sure were shot, but they were never shot. It's very strange. I really worry about my brain.
Did I dream it?
And I swear that it's in the show somewhere where he takes the eyeball and tosses it in the garbage as a sort of a chilling thing that he moved past this horrific event.
Okay.
I thought we did that.
Okay.
And I'm going to bet money that we did do that.
Okay.
Some fan in the audience, please contact Eric and let him know that exists.
Yeah, exactly. No,
whether or not it's on screen. That's what happened.
I'm not a betting man. I don't gamble, but being that Tom has the most knowledge of the three of us on the panel here right now, as far as that, I'm going to bet on Tom. Catherine says, can we get some more backstory on Kim in season 6? I love the flashback we had this year, and for sure, seeing her as a young teen, with the cello lessons and getting a bit of a backstory with her mom, alcoholic and things like that. I think being 13 episodes, there might be some time for that. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Kim Wexler, we'd love to explore as much as possible with her, and certainly another flashback would be great. I'm not promising anything. We're still working things out, but yeah, we'll see.
Here's a very observant fan. Karina says,
hey, Peter has a thought.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say something real quick before we move on from that scene, because I love that scene so much. And one of the reasons I love it, which is also one of the reasons I love the show so much, is at the very end of that scene, when she's walking away, it's that camera just lingers on her, which helped me see it not just as something that happened in a scene, but actually like living in little young Kim's shoes for an extended period of time. It's like you actually have the time to think about what's happened, think about what's going on, and it's not just this quick cutaway to the present day. It's like hanging on and just watching her walk away.
Yeah.
We love our silences. We love to give actors their time on screen and just see the thought process behind their eyes. I mean, that's something when I was a kid and I saw One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and there's this great moment near the end where they just hold on Jack Nicholson's face as all these things are racing through his head. He never says anything, and that stuck with me. I probably saw it when I was 11 or 12, and that's always something I thought, but we just put it in our work as much as possible, those moments, because you learn so much about the character when they say nothing, and just watch them.
Oh my!
And we have such good actors on our show. I mean, my God, Ray Seahorn can convey so much with an eye flicker or just a facial expression. She says so much by saying, so few words.
Nothing. Yeah, she's incredible.
Agreed. And when you talk about the extended focus on Kim there as well too, then we get to hear a little bit more about Kim when she's trying to fix a deal with the foreclosure with the last property there with the Mesa Verde, a bank, destruction there, and bulldozing, stuff like that. And she's like, we never owned a place. We'd be woke up in the middle of the night, moving from home to home because, the mom, probably losing, not paying the rent, boozing and stuff like that. So you really got to really know a lot about her in a couple episodes. But here's a very observant fan, as I was about to say a moment ago. Karina says, Peter, I think I spy some Stephen King on your bookshelf behind you. So she's got some good eyes. You got some Stephen King back there?
This is my our Stephen King shelf, all here and here. This is not Stephen King. This is my good friend Aaron A. Craig wrote a book recently called The House of Salt and Sorrows, which is just released in paperback this week. You should check it out.
Thanks.
But yeah, I got a lot of Stephen King. A lot of Stephen King.
Great.
All of them.
Another great fan question here from the really popular Saul Goodman Twitter account. Obviously not the official account, but it's Saul Goodman Twitter and has a lot of followers of cast and crew. Love watching their tweets. Says, I have a question for Tom. Season 5 had the longest Gene segment yet. Are we going to see even more of Gene in season 6, possibly in color at some point? And that's a great question.
I don't know about color. We saw a little bit of color flicker in his eyes in the very first episode of the series, where he was watching his own Saul Goodman commercials, and there was a flash of color in his glasses. I think it'd be really interesting to see Gene in color, but I don't know if we're going to do that. But we will definitely see more Gene, because the world of Gene is open-ended. I mean, we know so much about the other characters on the show, like Gus and Mike. We know how they end, but Gene is wide open. So we're definitely going to want to put an end to that story, and I don't think we're going to be able to do it in a single teaser in season 6. So there will be some more Gene.
Yeah, I've seen some good articles by some pretty prolific online zines talking about saying how Better Call Saul is going to have to break some of their rules, what they've done with the opening, like every opener is of each season. So yeah, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it, just because it's so cool. And the nice thing is, I know it's kind of a tough one for you guys because now you've committed to 13 episodes, and us greedy fans are like, 13, can you give us 16? But I mean, 13 is a haul for you guys compared to 10. but I think that does open up the doors for more possibilities. And man, I mean, we're going to be in for a treat. That's all. I know that for a fact. And I know no inside information. I just know we're in for a treat.
Well, we hope we don't disappoint. That's all. That's
no pressure.
We're trying to make ourselves happy first. We're the first audience for the show in the writers' room, and if we're happy, moving on. And then luckily, it's translated to the fans enjoying the show as well. So
exactly,
that's a good lesson for writers out there. Just try not to think big picture and making the big audience happy and the studio network happy. I mean, they have to be happy, but if please yourselves for most of all, and then hopefully it translates to your audience.
Exactly. And Tom, this is something I think I shared with you after the fact, after I had you on the show, before we talked about doing a show together. This was a little Cole's notes, and just to show you how much people that are great in the industry really respect. Now we're going to talk Breaking Bad just for a moment, but I'm a good friend of Glenn Mazzara. Glenn Mazzara was a showrunner on Walking Dead, took over after Frank Darabont left, and then he was about a season and a half. Anyways, he went on to produce a great show. It only ran for one season. I'm sorry that it didn't get picked up for a second, but Damien was a great thing. And I've got to just pull up real quick. I got a signed script from Damien. And where I'm going with this is he told me a great story when I interviewed him a long time ago. So they're shooting Damien in Toronto, kind of close to me, about 2 hours away from me here in Canada. And Scott Wilson, rest in peace, a beautiful soul, Herschel on Walking Dead. He's passed away. But he was in Damien. And at the end of the day, they would go sit in their hotel. I don't know if they shared a hotel room, but at least they got together in one of their hotel rooms. Would sit at the end of the bed together, have some takeout, some drinks or whatever, and watch Breaking Bad. They'd binge watch Breaking Bad. I never did get a chance to share that with you, so that's a nod to you and the team there as well, too, for great cinema there as well from another respected writer in the business.
That's nice. I've met Glenn. He's a great guy. He actually hosted a Breaking Bad panel.
Yeah, the Writers Guild.
With all the writers right after we finished the final season. So yeah, it was great to meet. Actually, it was before we finished, but he hosted a panel, and he's a real talented guy and a good guy.
Yeah, he's a real advocate for diversity and women in the writers' room and things like that. He's a champion for that. So very cool. Shawshank sent a super chat. Says, question to both of you. This is good, and this is what's really cool too, Peter. Is even sometimes when we're talking, this is going to be Better Call Saul, but sometimes there might be some Breaking Bad questions, and even though you had nothing to do with that portion of the universe, you can give some fan commentary is great. But this is Better Call Saul. Shawshank says, how much of Jimmy turning into Saul is the circumstance he finds himself in versus the choices he willingly makes? That's a good one. How about you, Peter? You go first on that one.
That's a big question, and I think that's one of, as a fan, as a viewer, I think that's one of the big questions that the series asks of itself and of us: is how much of what we become is the circumstances we're in, how much of it is of our own making. And I think, like with Jimmy Saul, as with all of us, I think it's a kind of a cop-out answer, but I think it's a combination of the two. It's what you're willing to do to get what you want, but also what is standing in your way to get there. And it's one of the big questions.
Yeah, so, for sure.
That's
a good answer. And Tom, I mean, take yourself out of the
I mean, I think Peter hit it right on the head. I mean, it's a combination of the two. And I would never want to say that it's one or the other. I think it's really open for the audience should read their own, what they want to put onto the show and not have somebody tell them that it's definitely this or that. He's, Jimmy McGill has been influenced by outside forces. He's been, he has had a jealous brother who took away opportunities from him when he was trying to improve his life, but he's also made a lot of really bad choices on his own. And now the same thing is happening to Kim Wexler. She's, made a lot of good choices, and now she's doing some things that, may change her fate.
For sure. And, I looked at the episode in Bad Choice Road when Jimmy's trying to retell the story that Mike said. It just reminds me so much of me trying to retell a joke, and it's like it just falls so flat. And Jimmy's like, okay, well, see, you get on a road. We get on a road, and we end up here, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And what you're doing is a bad choice on the Bad Choice Road. I'm just like, man, you just ruined a great speech by Mike. You know what I mean? You totally ruined it.
That's something we found with Jimmy's character. He repeats a lot. He will pick up sayings from other people, and we will bring them back as his own in the show, and he'll adopt things and try to make them his own. But in that case, he failed spectacularly. But
yeah, and you just feel so bad.
I want to ask Peter how he got started as an actor. What was your first step? When did you decide this is what you were going to do?
Well, I was in high school, and I was a big jock, did soccer, football, basketball, all that jazz. And my sophomore year, I had to take an elective, and there was a theater class, and I had some friends in there, and I thought, it'll be easy and fun, because I always enjoy movies and TV and in the theater. So I did it, and unfortunately, that year, we had a brand new teacher at the high school who just graduated from Portland University named Sean Riley. He was amazing, but he took it really seriously. Like, it wasn't just a toss-off class where you put on some funny clothes and tell some jokes. It was like diving into Stanislavski's system and Boleslavsky and all that jazz. So it kind of stoked the passion in me. And then the first moment I stepped on stage playing we did a Man Who Came to Dinner, and I was Dr. Bradley. And I got on stage, and a telephone was supposed to ring, and it didn't ring. And I was there with the main character, and we had to figure out in the moment what to do until the phone rang. And it was just such a rush that I just absolutely fell in love with it. So I decided to continue on with theater, and I went to college for it. And I moved to New York and did absolutely nothing, except I got a role with a touring children's company out of Boston. So I did that, traveled all over the country for a couple of years. That's how I met my wife. And after 2 years, we were like, we're done with this. Let's go somewhere and be somewhere stationary. And she's from New Mexico. And so she said, how about New Mexico? And I said, okay. So we came down here, and I did theater just like nonstop for several years when we got here. And eventually, so many of my friends were getting agents and getting into film and television. And it's something I had always wanted to do. So I tried. I stuck my toe in and then just kind of fell in the water.
That's great. And New Mexico has been such a great town for us, just for actors, and just because we cast out of Texas and New Mexico, Arizona. It's been really good choice of people to choose from. I mean, my God, just when we think we're going to run out of people, we find, there more come up. It's been really good.
It's a great talent pool, and it's a great community too. Like behind the scenes, like the actors, they're all so wonderful. We're all friends with each other.
That's great to hear. Here's a good question from regarding Bill Oakley. If I'm pronouncing the name right, which I know I'm not, and I apologize. Fidist. The character of Bill was supposed to be more mean. Was supposed to be more mean to Jimmy. Was kind of a little bit mean and hard on him in the beginning, and over the years got a little bit soft. Was that a writer's choice, or did the character evolve? And that could be a question for either of you. Maybe a little softer on Jimmy over the years.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true either. You want to go first?
Because we start with Petty with a prior, being very hard-ass, not giving in, and then we end up with chasing Jimmy down the hall, saying, "You're gonna have to change your name again, loser." So
yeah, I guess you got a point.
He's been pretty consistently. When he's had the upper hand, he's taken it. When he's been down, it's he crumbles a little bit, especially when the pressure's on and he knows Kim is threatening to tell the judge that things weren't done in a proper fashion or whatever. He's given in, so he has his ups and downs.
Yeah. Okay. I guess
I was going to say it's really dependent on the power dynamic of the scene, of the episode, of the season. Like in that very first one, Jimmy was essentially like nothing, and Oakley had the power, so he was able to be a little gruffer, I guess. I think what it is there's less humor in that sequence than in later sequences, but it's just a moment. Right.
But even
not the telling of.
Yeah, my first episode with Peter, he's coming out of a bathroom stall having just taken a dump, and Jimmy's on him saying, "I need you to make this deal," and as if I remember, Oakley says, "Well, he he ran his car and he killed 2 people and ran his car into a shopping mall. And Jimmy's like, you were talking about a whole different guy. You're not even paying attention. And he gets angry at Oakley, who finally gives in. So there's been a lot of, Oakley's got a lot on his mind.
Down. Yeah.
Well,
a lot of cases.
Speaking of Oakley,
and again, certainly, we wrote the character before knowing Peter. Now seeing Peter in the role and seeing what he does with it influences the writers of where they take the character in future episodes.
Agreed. And here's a question for Oakley, the character. So this is from Eamon. Eamon Y says, question for Peter. Excuse me if it was asked already, but how do you feel the character has shaped out and evolved personally? I know you, as Tom just said, as they see what you can do, what the character can do, and you as the actor, they can write and, throw more ideas at you that they might not have had before you took that spot. But how do you think Oakley has evolved?
I'm glad you asked. I have some notes, Tom. Not really. I love it. It's great. It's every writer I've worked with, Tom and Jennifer Hutchinson and Shirkus and everybody has just given me such amazing, hilarious, interesting words to work with. It's fantastic, and I love finding out when I get the script pages for the first time where that power dynamic is currently, because it's just so much fun to play. It's so much fun to play sort of the underdog, and it's so much fun to play lording it over Jimmy. No, I love it. I love where it's going, and no matter where it goes, I trust that it'll be fantastic.
One of my favorite moments with Peter is when he hears that Jimmy has gotten the job at Davis and Maine, and he's got his own personal assistant named Omar, and it's just that's just sounds so good. That's the moment I really felt for Oakley, just trapped in this system, this grind, this courthouse, and Jimmy escapes it, but then he throws it all away like a dummy.
Yeah. I love that sequence too.
We were making a joke on social media today. I think, Tom, you said it. You said, I don't know what it smells like in the Gilliverse, but that reminded me back of that scene. And I was like, yeah, I think it smells like Cocobolo, because that's that desk that he wanted to have. That I don't know what's so special about it, but the Cocobolo desk. So until we're proven otherwise, it smells like Cocobolo here in the Gilliverse. And just so people, in case
that's my James Lipton question. Is I'm going to ask everyone, what does it smell like in the Gilliverse? Now that you're in it, what does it smell like to you, Peter?
Cocobolo. We have
not like Satan's bungalow.
Yeah. We have such an amazing amount of questions coming in, which I know we won't be able to get to. We got about 15 minutes left in the program. I'm going to try to get through some of these as well too. And I know that a lot of times these are speculation. We can't answer questions. Sometimes you guys might not even know, the writers, but certainly even if you did know, you would not be able to address a question. But we'll just spitball here a little bit. This is from Ovo Jacob. Sent a super chat, says, will we get a scene with Lalo and Tuko? That would be something.
That would be something. And again, I can't really talk about any of season 6.
Yep. I'm sure
we're wide open.
Awesome. As a fan, all of us here on the panel, I'm thinking that'd be cool to see. But yeah, certainly can't speculate on we can't say what's coming and what's not coming.
We were very lucky to get Ray Cruz for a couple episodes early on. He's a popular actor, hard to get. But we can always see what happens.
Exactly. And here's a good question from Paul Sura. Paul is the voice of our show here. Nice to have him do that for us. He says, asked because of how unfairly Skylar White could be judged at times from fans during Breaking Bad. Was there ever, and she got a lot of hate mail, that Anna got some hate mail over some of that.
Makes me so mad.
I know, right? People just can't separate the character from, and that goes to how good the writers are. When you love or hate a character so much, I mean, you don't hate that person. It's that writer that's doing, and I'm not just pointing to Tom, I'm virtually pointing to the writers out there in the world. That's the writer's story, and that's a good story. But anyways, so she was hated and could be judged at times by fans during Breaking Bad. Was her conscious decision from the Better Call Saul writers to develop Kim's character as more likable to the fans? Fantastic question.
No, I don't even remember what point I heard about this. Just despicable. That Breaking Bad was a wonderful, amazing experience. That was the absolute worst part of the whole thing was the bullshit that Anna Gunn experienced because she portrayed a character who was in Walter White's way to get what he wants. So she had hate heaped on her. It was disgusting. And I mean, it didn't. Again, it felt like it was in later seasons that I heard about it. We had already made, Skylar's arc was already changing, where she was getting more involved in the money laundering and the car wash. I feel like we were doing that before I started hearing about this other crap. So, I mean, we try not to let outside voices influence what we do in the writer's room.
Mm-hmm.
But, I just never want, that makes me sick. I never want to hear that happen to any of our actors.
Yes.
They're playing a role and to make it personal against somebody is just, these people are, trying to live their lives and feel good about the work they're doing, and to have hate heaped on them for no reason.
Agreed.
It was not happy. It was not a happy time.
No, for anyone, especially in the camp. Tom, you had a note as well too. There's a good question that you wanted to bring up about rehearsing with Peter, with Bob and Ray. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, Peter's talked about it on his Twitter feed often. I mean, love to hear your voice about what it's like. Bob is very, very good about gathering actors and going over lines. I mean, these guys come to set with their homework prepared. I mean, it's as a director, it's the best thing possible to have these guys come in and just nail the scene. So what's that like, Peter, in the rehearsal process?
Well, it's amazing, first of all, because maybe I'm blanking, but I can't think of any other show I've worked on that I've been contacted by one of the leading characters to ask to rehearse offset. So it's such a luxury. So lucky. So the first time I have rehearsed with both Bob and Ray. Bob's assistant called me. It's season 3. It was kind of our first multiple scene, longer scenes. It was I think the one in the jail and the trans fat in the hallway. And so Bob called to rehearse. And at the time, I was a stay-at-home dad with a young baby, and so I couldn't go to the set to rehearse with him. But he's a great guy. He offered to come to me, and there was in our building there was a kind of a theater space, and so he came and with his assistant, and we rehearsed. And I had my daughter at one point strapped to my chest while we were rehearsing, and he could very easily have been annoyed by that, but instead he I think I said this on Twitter or whatever, but he started doing his lines in a funny voice and like playing to her, my daughter, and she was just laughing. So it was a great experience, just as a dad, but also as an actor, just to be able to come with this set prepared. Because I think also because we took the time to rehearse those particular scenes, when we shot the hallway portion, we ended up the first half of it is basically a oneer, I think. But because we had Bob had called me and we had the opportunity to rehearse it so much that we were able to sort of nail down pacing and the various levels. So that preparation actually helped, not just my nerves and confidence, but actually helped kind of speed the shooting along. And then the next season, season 4, Ray also contacted me about rehearsing, and she was also kind enough to come to me when I had a kiddo. So it's been I'm a lucky fella.
Wow.
Well, I mean, we're all lucky. I mean, it's just great when anybody who gets to work on a TV show and has actors like these who care about the show and want to be prepared, because we have limited time to shoot these episodes and get things done and get them right and get as many shots as we want. So the more time the actors put in to, again, using the phrase, doing their homework, the better off we are and the crew is to get these things on tape and get them right.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a super chat question from Shawshank. Says, in Breaking Bad, do you believe Saul we see as a mask for him to shut the tragedy of his life, or do you think by season 6 he has completely become that person? think he's probably pretty darn close now.
Yeah, I mean that's something we're still exploring in the writers' room. Is that is he using Saul to cover up some horrible pain that's happened, or is he completely transformed? Does the mask become the man? I mean, that's he definitely uses as a mask at first. And it's a way to draw in a certain clientele. But by the time we get to Breaking Bad, it looks like he's become that person. So we're still transitioning. That's what season 6 is going to be about, is getting those last few steps to Saul Goodman being the guy who will offer up murder as an option. To deal with the problem.
Going to Belize, take a trip to Belize. Yeah. Here's a question from Ovo, a super chat, and I'm going to direct this one to Peter here as well. So this is a Breaking Bad question. So this is just fandom here. It says, do you think Walter White could outsmart Lalo? Oh, there's a kitty that we were told about. Okay, first introduction. We need an introduction.
This is June. She's been all over the room. And okay, she's done. That was June. Sorry, what now?
Okay, so this is a question from Ovo. Says, do you think Walter White could outsmart Lalo?
Oh, gosh.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Did we just witness animal abuse? I just want to make sure that we're not going to be shut down by.
Yeah, exactly. I think
just what happened. Oh, I was nudging her because she's scratching our little cubby hole. She scratches the furniture. I was not kicking her.
No, we know that. We know that for sure.
That's what you say. I think I saw otherwise. But anyway, let's move on.
We're going to call Better Call Saul. That's right. We only have a few minutes left, but there's a couple questions that came in through on a couple of our last shows, and even one with Tom. And I feel really bad if I don't ask those from some of our fans. We're going to do a speed round here real fast. From Nat Romero on Twitter. How come Jimmy knows so much about filmmaking? Granted, he's a big movie fan, but he really seems to know how to direct. He even knows more than his film crew. Did you listen to the Beyond Better Call Saul podcast and things of that nature? So was it written into the script that he was just a natural talent when it comes to filmmaking?
I mean, he is a huge film fan, and you learn things from watching films. But then there's other episodes when he's asking for a move. He doesn't understand that he needs a dolly. He doesn't understand what a green screen is. So he has his own things that he's learned from watching movies, but he doesn't really understand a lot of the technical parts of it. So he knows, but he doesn't know. So there's a mix of things going on there with Jimmy in directing.
Good answer. Also from Nat Romero, this would be for Peter because you're right in the middle of it. What's the best time to visit Albuquerque? Weather-wise, seems like it's either scorching hell or freezing cold, or there are sandstorms. Is there a good time if we want to come down and visit?
That is exactly. There's 3 seasons. There's scorching hell, there's freezing cold, and there's sandstorms. No, good question. I don't know. It depends on what you like to do. October is nice, but it's also the big balloon fiesta.
Yeah, balloon festival.
There's a million people, literally millions of people. Probably not literally millions, but October, the weather is nice. March, April, I guess. It's before the big winds come, and it's not too hot, not too cold.
Okay.
That's my speed answer.
That's good. That's all we need. That's good. This will be more of a hypothesis here. This was meant for Peter Gould when he was on the show, but Tatiana Raskazova. Man, I'm really stretching my pronunciations, but this was for Peter Gould. But is there any connection between Kim's fate and the adventure of Mabel? Maybe Tom has an idea on that.
I have no idea. I apologize.
No, it's okay. We'll talk to Peter again sometime and down the road. And if I'm sometimes I get these wrong. I'm being texted to speech from Sandra upstairs. And she's saying, it's Christina from casting on Breaking Bad, Tom. I miss guitar time. Is that an old friend?
Say the name again.
Christina from casting on Breaking Bad?
Oh, from casting. Yeah.
Nice.
It's been a while, yes.
Nice. And I do apologize. We apologize. There's so many questions that are coming in. Maybe sometime we can try to work out kind of a off-the-air type of a thing. We can do some questions. We'll try to recap some of the ones that didn't get answered, because there's so many great questions that come in. And, I mean, we're only 4 minutes away from the end of our first show. 60 minutes. Even when I told Tom, when he came on the first time, he's like, I just signed up for 60 minutes for a live interview. What the hell did I commit to? And it went by in 15 minutes. And it doesn't it feel like that to you tonight, Peter?
Oh, yeah. That's what I thought.
We
didn't even
living hell. No, you could be honest, Peter.
Or, talk about music, or no, I'd be happy to come back again. No, I had a good time. Thank you.
I didn't know you play guitar, so we need to
Yeah.
We need to get a Saul band together.
Yeah. I'll do the G and the D chords.
We got 3 guitar players here. I would have never known it. I didn't know you played guitar until I saw some of your Instagram stuff. And then Tom, that's what Tom and I kind of put the motions in play, because we both use some similar gear, and so that got the ball rolling in that as well too. But this has been an absolute pleasure. I think it's probably safe to say, I can just switch over to a screen for a second. We'll talk about next week's guest as well too. We have this guy here. You might know him as Nacho Varga. Michael Mando will be joining us next week, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We'll be looking forward to that. And another musician. What is it with all these people that work in the business here that are musicians? I don't get it. Good talent, right?
Want to be rock star.
Something you can do at home between gigs.
There you go. There you go. So we'll look forward to that. But and again, I apologize to all the wonderful people in the chat. First of all, thank you so much for not only watching our first episode tonight and sharing on social media. I've been seeing the shares. It's been absolutely insane. Thank you to the folks at AMC of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul social media teams. They've been great this week with us, sharing all kinds of stuff. Tom, thank you. And as Daniel Knight pointed out, he saw one of my tweets earlier. I really got to thank the people. I think they're the most important behind this, our better halves here as well too. Tom and I are very, very blessed. To Kristen and to Sandra Lee. We couldn't do it without you. I know, we're taking time away from our families, and we're blessed to have the support, and that's where the success comes from. So thank you to those beautiful ladies. And
I'm actually amazed we got through a show without my children running in.
Hey, that's
like
okay.
They did last time.
that was great. That was great, and we got a lot of good comments over that as well too, because neither you or I flinched. We just kept on going, because I'm a family guy. You're a family guy. Peter is, right? And it's family, man. I mean, now the Breaking Bad family can, sometimes kids got to go to sleep. We're going to watch Breaking Bad. Better Call Saul, we can get away with it a little bit more, and the kids can sneak in, and there's some things on the screen. It's not so violent, right? But it's a family show. We've always professed that here on the channel, even when I do other shows. But this has been an absolute fun. And Tom, I got to give a big thanks to you as well too, for taking a chance on this. And I know I twisted your arm, but I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for you. And
it's fun. I love it. I'm hoping to get be an influencer and get some people to follow me who might do things for me, like rob banks or commit murders, and just follow my lead. And then, who knows what will happen after that? I'll run for politics or something.
Hey, there you go. That wouldn't be a bad idea either. But we won't go down that road. That's a bad choice road. Yeah, we'll leave that one alone. You see, you get on this road, and there's good choices and bad choices. And there I go. We're failing on that one miserably. But Peter, it's been an absolute pleasure. In just a moment, we're going to say goodbye to you off the air, so don't go away. Everyone.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you so much. Episode 1 in the books. We've got some surprises for you, as we told you. Michael Mando next week. We won't say who else is coming next, but we do have some surprises. Be sure to watch Tom's social media and ours here on MGN channel on Twitter, and here on the YouTube, of course, we'll post some things here as well too. And we'll be back same time again next week. Everyone, have a safe and very safe weekend. Please use judgment out there. I'm not going to be a preach what to do for safety, but just be safe. And the safer you are, and everybody else is out there, listen. There you go. Okay. Yeah, I don't have mine with me. Nice. It's in the bathroom.
Hey,
but I'm going to be selfish here for a moment. The more safe that we are out there, the safer all these men and women get to go back to work and bring the show back that we love so much. Because the more
we want to work.
Yes, exactly.
We want to work.
Exactly. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to say goodbye to you all off the air here. We'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. And until then, cheers.